Is it sinful for the individual? This one's anonymous. Is it sinful for the individual who keeps getting unwelcome negative thoughts about Allah? What can be done to stop these thoughts, inshallah?
MashaAllah. Allah bless you and protect you, inshallah ta'ala. And human beings um, are susceptible to having all different types of thoughts, and sometimes the very worst of thoughts. In fact, there are narrations that even the companions of the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam sometimes had terrible thoughts. And there's narrations where they came to the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam eventually and told him about some of these thoughts, and they had preferred to be buried in the ground than to have these thoughts. And the Prophet said to them, "Did you find them? Did you have these thoughts?" Right? And they acknowledged yes. And then when they said that they disliked them, the Prophet said, "That's sarih al-iman. That is pure faith to dislike these thoughts." So we cannot control the type of thoughts that come to us. And that thoughts can be from an angel, or thoughts can be from our nafs, our ego, or thoughts can be from shaitan, from the devil. And shaitan is like an enemy who is waiting for the opportunity to fire. He's like a sniper, right? He's got his bow ready to go. And as soon as you're vulnerable, pow, right? He gets you. He knows, he circulates in us like blood. He knows our vulnerabilities because of what our nafs allows him to know. Your nafs is like the internal spy that lets him know what door or gate to enter from. So I'm saying all of that to say is that this is a part of the human condition. We get thoughts like this. And the key is to understand is that if it's a bad thought, that's not you. Don't fall into the trap of shaitan, which is he wants to convince you are your thoughts. He wants to convince you that the fact that you had a bad thought means that you're a bad person. So the number one thing that you can do and should do is just to turn away from the thoughts. In other words, that to remember Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and recognize that's an evil thought. That's from shaitan. That's not from me. A'udhu billahi minash shaitanir rajim. La ilaha illallah. And there's in psychology what they call intrusive thoughts. And it is the same way that you treat them is the same way that you treat these types of thoughts in relation to the Islamic version of psychology, which is the science of tasawwuf. It's turning away from them. They teach you with intrusive thoughts is that the more you obsess over them and think of them, the more you argue back with those thoughts, the deeper that they get. So sometimes like you want to wrestle with your thoughts and then it just leaves you tired and you get a worse thought and then you're wrestling constantly. The best thing is to step back, to know that thought is from shaitan. And the fact that you dislike it or even asking the question indicates that you have iman, as the Prophet ﷺ told the Sahaba. And then step back and just remember Allah and don't engage the thought. And then the more you preoccupy yourself with good and acts of goodness and put everything in its proper place and understand your deen and how to have times where you do different things among it worship, but among it other things, then the thoughts will eventually go away. The more dhikr that you make, the more dedication to the deen, connection to the shuyukh, the more that these thoughts just dissipate and eventually go away.